Thank you for tuning in to the Natty News Daily podcast. This episode is brought to you in part by our sponsor, Core Nutritionals. You can check out corenutritionals.com for all your supplement needs and use code Natty News Daily at checkout to save 20%. Enjoy the episode.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome back to the Natty News Daily podcast. I'm running this solo. Leroy, James, and I are all on different schedules right now, so we're just running and gunning these, as I was telling Ken off air. We have a special guest here, Kent Bierly. Kent, how are you? Like I
I'm
said,
good. I'm good. I'm very good. I'm excited. I'm pumped up to be on. Finally, I got an invite to be on your show. I almost was going to call you guys out at the Mr. America. I was going to walk over to your table and bang on it and ask you why you guys haven't invited me yet. But
if you would have done that, we'd be like, we're going to do a live podcast right here at the table. So,
so I behaved myself. My better judgment took over, which doesn't always happen.
Especially when you're in contest shape, right?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I wasn't in a very good mood by that point, but yeah.
So Ken, why don't we start off with your background and history within bodybuilding? Why don't we start with a high level summary and then we can get into the weeds of some of the stuff we talked about off air.
All right. Well, I started working out when I was really like 13. My brother's weights, a typical older brother, thought he was a tough guy, wanted to fight me all the time. So he didn't use the weights, so I did. And then I started using them for football. I had friends of mine working out in my basement. The coach would get mad because nobody went to his training. He'd come to my basement. We had like 10, 15 guys working out in the basement. When I was 17, I did my first show, NPC show. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had goofy trunks on. Actually, they were like classic trunks now that people wear. I had those on, got my ass kicked. So then a year later,
how old were you in that first show? You said
17. Yeah. So then a year later, I just turned 19. So it was, my birthday's in July. So the next year was August. So I was technically 19, but a year later. And I won the big show up in an NPC show up in New York, White Plains. It was the Westchester Classic. It was one of the biggest NPC shows around back in the day in New York. Teenage class at 19 people. We can't even get 19 bodybuilders in the show now. They had 19 teenagers, and I won that. Wow. So I was happy I won that. I beat a bunch of good guys. And then once I went away to college, I did some shows here and there, played football 1 year up at UMass, tore up my knee playing in the snow. I never got hurt in a game, but I got hurt my knee playing in the snow, which was really dumb. And then I had a cast on. Doctor said your leg will never be the same size, never be the same. So then I just focused everything.
Little did they know.
Yeah, I needed to replay. I couldn't play football anymore. So I
got back into the competing.
I could have once I was out. I was, my body adapted well to the weights, and then I really enjoyed it. And then my body, I just figured, well, I gotta have the competitive itch. I can't just do nothing. So I started doing shows while I was up at school, like the Big East Classic up in Connecticut. I did an AAU natural show. There really wasn't really much natural stuff going on back.
I was gonna ask you, what was the natural scene like?
There really wasn't. It was AAU.
Because before we jump ahead, what kind of timeline was that on? Like, was that?
So we're looking 1980.
I would say 80s. Yeah.
1984. I did the Big East Classic, and then I did the AAU. I won a show. 1983. I was home for the summer. I did the NPC New Jersey Open. I won the overall as a middleweight. Back then, I competed at like 175 pounds. Now I'd be laughed off stage if I was 175 pounds.
Hey, now.
Sport is so different. It wasn't
easy. Take it easy on me here.
It wasn't
I'm gonna be less than that.
Well, on stage, I was just 158 down in Florida. But the sport has changed so much. It's
Oh, you're talking the other direction. You're saying everyone's lighter now and leaner now.
Yeah. So I won that. And then I got out of college and I just started competing. And back then it was the ANBC. Actually, the ANBC. I did that in we're talking 1986, 1987. I did those shows, and then the ANPPC. That was another one. The NGI. No, not NBI was part of the AMPPC. I did they had their world. I remember my first pro show I did. I won the first pro show. I won second place. The guy handed me $300. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. $300 cash, a tank top, and some crazy Zubaz workout pants. I was like, well, I ain't wearing these.
300 bucks back then. That's probably
I
like
was
that's over
happy.
that's
300
over a
bucks
grand
cash.
probably
Yeah.
now. It's probably well over a grand now.
Yeah. And then my last show I did, I was 30 years old. I remember 1994. That's back when the NGA was the feeder to the WMBF. There was no BF back then. And then well, there was, but it wasn't big. The NGA, I guess it was NGA and the IMBF. They were the feeder to the WMBF. And I remember my wife was pregnant with twins. 1994. I was 30 years old. It's the last show I did until I turned 39. I went through the cycle of man. I got married, I had kids, I got divorced, and then I was like miserable. So then I promised myself before I turned 40, I was going to compete again, just one more time to see how I did. And I did the NGA.
One more time, just one more time,
one
right?
more time. I was 39. Yeah. I told my friend, my friend Dennis was helping me. And I'm like, Dennis, I just want to do one more time, see where I am. And I said, we'll see what happens. And he said, because he was with me 10 years earlier, he says, I think that nobody's going to beat you. He says, you look better than you did 10 years ago. And I'm like, get out of here. You're crazy. So I ended up winning the NGA Annapolis. Then it wasn't a pro qualifier yet. NGA had their own pro division by then. And then, so I did the Potomac, NGA Potomac. These were Sindel's. He's since passed away, but he had nice shows. And then they did the Potomac Cup. I won the Open, won the Masters, and then I became a pro. Then I did my first pro show, the East Coast something, NGA. I won that. So my first year, I said, well, I guess I'm going to be doing this for a while. So here it is, 20 years later, and I haven't stopped. So it's been a fun ride. And I did take six years off, but COVID, contributed to 2 of them. I had a couple injuries that I had to overcome. I had some hip issues.
6 consecutive years or 6 years in total?
No, I took six consecutive years. I was going to compete the year of COVID, so it really would have been 4 years. So I had some injuries that I was, football injuries that were creeping up on me, were limiting my workout abilities. But then I kept working out, but then COVID hit and it ruined 2 years. But yeah, so last year I did 7 shows. This year I'm going to do 9. I like to do a lot of shows. You just get better every time. It just the more you suffer, the better you look.
That is often the case. Have you found as you've gotten older and gotten more experience that it's easier to compete in back-to-back years than it used to be?
Well, I always compete. When I did compete basically every year. There are times where I didn't compete for a few years at a time, and it wasn't really on purpose. It was really just for circumstances. I will tell you there was a time where I felt like one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of polygraph is back in 1988, I failed a polygraph test, which I thought was a setup because the guy in charge of the AMBC wanted me to be like his poster child. That's basically what he told me. And he told me he'd be sorry. I'd be sorry if I didn't do more shows. And I said, I just want to do one show. So after that, you fail a polygraph test, and every organization, there was a few other ones popping up by then. They used the polygraph test, and I had a real polygrapher come in, an hour and 45-minute test by a state trooper that was their polygraph tech, passed his thing, never let me compete. So I didn't compete for 2 years after that because I was just mad, number one, that I got screwed. And then I was also nervous that, well, if I failed that polygraph, am I going to fail another one just because I'm nervous? I mean, because you're always nervous when you take it. But that was the only time I ever had a problem. And I've told that story before, and it's a bad situation that I got caught up in. And that just goes to show there are people, we all know there's people in the sport that are bad. So, and they they try to take advantage of people. And back then I was younger. I was right out of college. Yeah. So there are people out there that you need to be careful of because they can ruin your, they can destroy you if they wanted to. blackball you, whatever they got to do. I mean, there's all
Yeah.
stories out there. But yeah, so
Yeah, not to call names out, but maybe what are some things that you would look for in people, organizations, things that you see to avoid? Maybe some
well,
flags, red
you
flags,
always
yellow flags.
you always got to worry about the photography. Back in the day, there used to be photographers hanging out all the time, and they would take pictures of, oh, you want to do a photo shoot? Come to my room, I'll do a photo shoot. But that still happens to the day. I mean, there was a whole NPC article on the whole. I mean, in the Washington
Yeah.
Post, they had all. But that's one of the biggest things is really the photographers. We've had creepers, they buy a coach's pass and then all of a sudden they're in the back room and they're not with anybody. So we've actually implemented, if you get a coach's pass, you have to give us an athlete's name. You can't just be roaming around the back room. But there's always a lot of like hang-oners. They're always around, and you see them at more than one show, and they're not with anybody. So you always got to be careful. I mean, you are in a vulnerable state. Of course, you want someone offers you free pictures. I mean, nowadays pictures they're not cheap.
Yeah.
So you get caught up in that. Yeah, let's do some pictures. Next thing you know, the guys, the people are being, shady and just make people feel uncomfortable. But it's why it's always good that to have somebody backstage with you to just keep an eye on things, because there are creepers. No matter how much you try to keep them away from your shows, they have a way of getting in. And then you don't know, but we implemented that if you buy a coach's pass, you have to give us the name of an athlete, or the athlete has to buy the coach's pass. But it's there's creepers everywhere. It's just
Yeah.
it's a sad reality, but it does happen. I mean, I got caught
Okay.
up in it.
I haven't come across too much of that in person. Yeah, I see it on Instagram and I get the DMs, but
Yeah,
I haven't come across really too much of it in person yet. I should knock on wood when I say that, but yeah, I mean it definitely exists. I know based on my Instagram DMs that those types of people
yeah.
exist. So
It's a shame, but like anywhere you go, there's people that you don't want to hang out with for sure.
yeah, but that's just the nature of things. But anyways, I derailed you for a little bit. So where were we? Just competing
Well,
within
we're 40.
like over that long span from
Yeah, there was one
90s
year.
into
Yeah,
today.
there was one year where I did 13 shows. I wanted to win every show. I ended up winning 7 of 13 of them. So I didn't win them all, but it was a good year. Probably my highest prize money year I ever had. And then I always try to do at least 5, 6 shows a year, maybe more sometimes. I did 10 one year. But as a natural competitor, it's obviously easier to compete more often because you're not worried about, you don't have to go on your gear. You don't have to cycle up. You don't have to cycle down. You don't have to take any estrogen block. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You just keep, as long as you can maintain. As a natural competitor, you have to be able to control your ups and control your downs, and you have to be able to rebound in between and kind of cycle it back and go back. You have to always, it's always like, how many weeks? To me, it's how many weeks to my next show. So, for example, if I'm doing cardio, and I start out basically with no cardio, and then I add like 5 minutes a day until if I get up to 2 minutes, 2 hours a day, I do a keto diet. So I just get on a bike and I just pedal, and it's easy. Read a book, watch shows. And so what I do is that now I got a show coming up in 9 weeks. I cycle it back to where I was 9 weeks before the Florida Pro. And then I kind of determine, sometimes I don't need to do that. Sometimes I can do less. Sometimes I might need to do more, depending on if the show, you prioritize certain shows on my schedule too, where I really want to come in. I really want to come in well. Like last year, the Yorton Cup, I wanted to make sure that I was ready for the Yorton Cup. I didn't want to so I picked it up a little bit. So you kind of got to schedule yourself, and you have to do the same thing with your food. You got to maintain your meal plan. You can't be on like what you were eating the last few weeks before a show. If it was really light. I mean, I'm generally not a low food eater either. I mean, doing keto, I'm eating all meat. My calories are pretty high, very calorie dense foods. So, but you just got to be able to schedule it. You just can't starve yourself. And I have my cheat meal once a week. I make sure I try to get a good amount of sleep, which isn't always possible, but for the most part, you just have to manage based on how you feel. And then people say, well, don't you get exhausted doing all the shows? I said, well, I'd be exhausted if I wasn't doing shows. What's the difference? I mean, you work, 12, you own your own business, you own your own gym. you're working 12, 14 hours a day. You're training people from 5 o'clock in the morning till 7, 8 o'clock at night. So I'd be tired anyway. So it gives me something to look forward to. When I get close to that show, it's like, okay, you start to get that itch. It's, under 5 weeks is when it's like game time. It's that 8 weeks away, 9 weeks away. It's like, maybe I could have a little, maybe I'll have a scoop of my wife's ice cream or something. But when you get within 5 weeks, it's just laser focus. And whatever you do, you can't miss anything. You're going away. You got to find a place to do your cardio, or you got to find a place to work out. So I'm able to segment, I try to be as normal as I can. I try to be a good husband. I try to be a good father. I try to be a good boss at work. And you can't take everything so seriously. You got to be able to manage everything. And then, and you can't, if my wife calls me out because I'm being an asshole, you got to like listen and say, okay, I try to do stuff when doesn't involve us. I mean, I try to get my workouts in earlier or late. I don't like to take her time with me away. So you just got to balance it. And I've done it forever. Yeah, when you're a kid, you don't care. It's like, it's all about competing. My first thing I do when I start training people, I tell them, I said, you can't make it your life as much as you feel. You talk to kids, oh yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this so bad. I'm like, look, dude, you can't let it take over your life. Because if you do, number one, when you lose, because you will lose, you're going to be destroyed. Can't let it be that way. I've had clients where they lost. They did one show and that was it. And they came in second. Like, it's not like they came in last. They came in second. They quit. Oh, they were devastated. I said, I warned you. You can't let it run your life. You can't get all the resentment from your family. You can't get the resentment from your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. But too many people. And then when the show's over, you got to be realistic. Like, did you really think you were going to win? What were your, did you do everything you needed to do? Because I know the answer is no to that. When I know if they don't listen, they don't follow the diet, and then you start hearing bits and pieces when they're done. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have had that bag of Reese's like 2 weeks before the show. So you got to be honest with yourself. And I've always been pretty good at that. I know when I show up to a show and if I'm not on my game, it's like, okay, well, this is what I need to do. So it's hard. You got to be able to look yourself in the mirror. And some people have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, it can be challenging for a lot of people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you get into condition. Do you notice that do you not have a super long recovery window, like hormonally and other things with coming out of shows, just like as we alluded to the conditioning standard these days?
When I was just thinking today, I was working out with one of the guys that works out with, Joe, and he I just did a show 2 weeks ago, and my weight, I don't even know, I was 165, I was 158 the morning of the show before I started eating. I'm 165 now, and I feel strong as shit, and I feel great. I've never really noticed any, because I eat. I don't shy away. When I'm done, I'll eat. I mean, I kind of took a whole week. I 50% dieted for a week, and I ate whatever I wanted to. I just didn't get to a point where I'm like full, like could throw up full, but I eat whatever I want. Depending on how much time, I knew I had time, so I was able to. I don't automatically go right back into my dieting, and yeah, I've never really had any issues. I never felt like I had issues with hormones. Maybe I did hormonally, but I feel great after a show. Once I get over, like if I win, obviously you feel great. But if you don't do how you expected, or you don't do how you think you should have done, then of course you got the mental aspect of it. But then after 2-3 days of that, you just like, well, screw these guys. I'm gonna come back better next time. And so when I do start working, I mean, I worked out maybe a few times last week, but this week I'm back to my regular schedule, my hour and 25 minutes of cardio, which is what I'm at. I don't do it all at once, but I feel great. So I've really never had any issues with that, as long as I get sleep.
Interesting. Yeah, because I wonder if, because like I said, if the you said the conditioning standard wasn't quite what it was when you were younger. I wonder if you dieted to the levels of condition that you're getting into now, if you would have encountered things. Because like I've had, I at least coming out of seasons, it takes months for me to hormonally physically recover from dieting.
I don't recall having any when I was younger. I don't recall having. It's always the same. I kind of like evaluate myself. I let my body like adjust, and then I get. I mean, I didn't do when I was younger, like before 30. I would do maybe 3, 4, 5 shows a year. I didn't do it, but as I got 140 and over, I mean, I could do a show. I don't like to do them every week. I was just say I could do them every week. I don't like to do them every week, but every 2, 3 weeks I could do a show, and that's basically what I did last year. Every 2, 3 weeks I was doing a show. So yeah, I don't. But I also think it's different now. I mean, I could compete every year. Doesn't it's not. I'm not getting bigger. What I am is what I am. I've been the same weight, honestly, since I've been in high school. But I just get leaner for shows. Like if I eat, I get up to 181. I was 187 January 7th. I started. That's my normal weight. I was in when I played football in high school. So I've just gotten my muscles have changed. My quality of muscle, obviously. They get as you get older, you get that muscle maturity. So the one thing that's changed is my conditioning, and that's the big difference. So I'm 158 pounds, but I look a lot bigger on stage. I mean, I look bigger than guys that are 190. I'm
Yeah.
lucky. I'm lucky. I have big legs and big arms, so they don't get smaller. My waist gets smaller, so I look bigger. Like I look at the pictures from the Florida Pro. I mean, Justin was a freak, and Corey was also very good. But you see pictures of a front double bicep, and I'm bigger than them, but they're thicker. So in spots.
Let me share my screen here. I'll pull up as I had your Instagram up. So these are some photos from can you see my screen?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
From the Florida Pro. So this is 60 for everyone watching. Take a look at the screen right now. This is 60 years old.
I got my new Carolina blue trunks on.
Matches the background.
Yeah, last year I had purples on, but yeah, my one body part that's definitely improved over years has been my back, and I think it's a lot of the deadlifting. My son's a big power lifter, and I've done powerlifting too. So I had one of the judges tell me that my shoulders were weak, which I thought was quite funny, but that's when you're a judge and you don't know what you should
You can
say.
see that through the middle of the back. Yeah, once in a while you'll get criticisms that it's just like that just doesn't quite make sense. I remember my first season, I got told that most of the criticisms made sense, so like muscularity wise.
Right.
But one of them told me my rear delts were small, and I'm like, that's the one upper body part that you could say is not small. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I could present it better, but like everything else, like yeah, you can see my chest, my delts, my arms, my back. Like you could say literally everything, but like rear delts, that's the one that was like ahead of everything. Like that didn't make sense.
It does make you I don't ask the judges for feedback really anymore, but it was through somebody else that was talking. I mean, just somebody else had said something to somebody, and they talked to me, and then I was like, well, what did they say? And they said, well, you said you need to work on your shoulders. I was like, what? I mean, I know that I don't have my chest is my weakest part. It's not full. It's not big, but I've never been told my shoulders are small.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna work out extra hard on my shoulders for my next show. Then they'll tell me they're too big.
So you've competed obviously with a lot of different organizations, and you ran through a lot of organizations that I had never even heard of. And would you say the landscape is pretty similar to the way it was maybe 30 years ago in the sense that there's so many organizations and it's so divided? Like even though the organization names and people in charge of it and rules are different, would you say it's pretty similar? And the fact that there's
back when I started, it was either the NPC or the AAU. They were going like originally it was really just AAU. Then the NPC came around.
But what happened to the AAU ultimately?
Well,
they ran the Mr. America, right? For a while, didn't it?
Well, they were the original Mr. America, and then they stopped, and then they were selling the right. Whoever owns it, the guy that owns the gym down in Maryland, he has the rights to it. That Mark Torriello has bought the rights to it for a certain amount of years. I guess he leased the
Yeah.
rights, but the NGA used it one year. They used it. They had the Mr. America one year, actually 2 years. They did one up in Rochester or Buffalo, and then they did one down in Maryland. And they did it outside. It was like 90 degrees. Couldn't imagine
Oh, jeez.
wearing Dream Tan or something and being in 90-degree heat. But yeah, then Mark had the opportunity to buy it.
Yeah.
He bought the rights for a certain amount of time, and he's running with it. He says he has it until the guy says no. But it was, the NPC.
What did the AAU turn into though? Did they
Well,
just dissolve, or did they get bought out? Or
the AAU bodybuilding, I kind of died off once the NPC started the nationals.
okay.
Because the NPC was always, it's a money making machine even back then. So the AAU kind of faded away, but they still did the powerlifting and the strongman. But recently, past few years, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, Martin Drake, who just recently passed away, resurrected the bodybuilding. I actually did a show out in 2021. I did their universe, the AAU universe in Las Vegas, because I wanted to, Martin was at the Mr. America, and he talked me into it because I wanted to do another show, and I figured I'd go to Vegas and take my wife there. She's never been there, and small show, but he tried resurrecting it over the past few years, but he just recently passed away. I don't know if it's ever really gonna. I don't think it's ever gonna be what it used to be. I mean, it's just too much competition now. But that was really it.
Yeah, it's different now.
There wasn't anything around. But then the ANBC, they were the late 80s. That was right out of college, or late 80s, and then they stopped. They just, I don't know what happened. Sean Sullivan was a big ANBC guy, and who else was part of that? Well, Bob Gormley was the big promoter. He was from Rhode Island, but yeah, they just faded out. And then the ANPPC was one of the big players, and then the OCB. They've been around the NGA was always around, but they used to be an NPC. They used to be a division in the NPC. When Andy Bastinto lived,
I didn't know that.
When Andy Bastinto lived in, he's the president of, or Francine's now the president, but he's the founder of the NGA. It used to be out of Westchester, New York. He lived in Brooklyn, and they used to have shows under. It was part of the NPC, but they were NGA shows, so they weren't drug-free shows back in the day. So then that was probably the late. I was in college. I remember I did a show. I did one of their shows. Actually, I came home to do one of their shows from school, and they canceled it. It was an NGA show. So I came home and spent all my money to come home on a bus.
And then they canceled the show.
And they canceled the show. But yeah, Andy he ran it up there. So that was in the late 80s. They've been around forever. Then when he switched it. That's when he started hooking up with the WMBF. He was a pro He was the pro feed-in for the. So that was well, 94 was an NGA show I did. So he was natural then.
NGA fed into the WNBF.
Fed into WMBF, yeah. If you want Charlie Corolla was the promoter. Andy was the president of the NGA. Steve Downs was there. He was the old muscle. Actually, I have it. Hold on. I even have props.
Say, I think he's pulling up some memorabilia or something to showcase here.
Yeah, Natural Physique, which was a WMBF magazine, but there's all the amateur NGA stuff was in here. I don't know if you ever seen this stuff. I'm actually.
I don't think I've seen this one. I've seen the I know the Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah, that's been around forever. But it's funny. I had this. I was showing somebody. There's a picture. There's the one day when I did lose, when I lost my Peter Ciccone. He was good. Yeah, he was at AMBC. Mike McLeod. These are all big names in the. Well, Nancy Andrews is in here somewhere. So
Turn
yeah,
into the camera. I want to see some. I want to see some of the shots in there.
yeah, I'm trying to find mine. I confused where I can never find it. They spelled my
You don't have
name
it
wrong.
bookmarked? You
No,
spelled your name
you
wrong.
think I would, but yeah, they spelled my name wrong. But the Steve Downs was the MC. He was asking everybody. He was asking everybody there. What place did I come in this for? This was. He was asking everybody to come to a photo shoot. They spelled my name wrong in the results of this one. Bierly. Jesus. Curtis Payne. You remember Curtis Payne? You ever hear of him? He was a
No.
big name bodybuilder back in the day. John Trotty, Mike McLeod. I wonder if Nancy's in here. I can't find my picture.
Nancy was crazy impressive.
Yeah, she was amazing. Hold on. Hold on, Dan.
Holding.
My office is a mess. You wouldn't believe what's behind this backdrop.
It looks fancy with the backdrop.
Yeah.
See, I got all my boxes. I need to create the whole. I need to make the whole room a Natty News backdrop.
So I took second in my class. So I went to the photo shoot. I didn't have any clothes because I stayed in the hotel. I didn't bring any workout stuff. I'm buying these. Wait till you see my shorts I have on. Wait, it's in this one. I'll find it. Hang with me.
Hoochie Daddy shorts.
Yeah, it's like I still have them too.
You wear them with your old school bodybuilding shirt you got on, right?
I show my wife. She's like, "You got to be kidding me!" Here it is. Look at this. Oh wait, there I am.
Oh, I love
shorts.
those. Those are great.
Look at that.
Oh
I
my
still
God,
have them.
With
I
the
think
stripes.
they're yellow. They're so old. I think they're yellow now. My wife yells at me when I try to be sexy with her. I'm like, "Come on, baby, I got my shorts on." Yeah, they spelled my name wrong in here too. But they can't get it right. Bierly. What the hell's wrong with these people? Yeah, so that's my claim to fame, and they spelled my name wrong twice. But yeah, it's a shame that there's not. I mean, I know a lot of people have tried with the magazines, but I mean, they do. It's just a shame that there isn't something like that for more publicity, man. But everybody puts their own pictures out. They don't want real pictures. They want to, use all the filters and stuff to make them look better than they really look, I suppose.
Yeah. I'd like the raw stuff though. I'm kind of a fan of the raw stuff. No
But they used to put all
edits,
the results, NGA results and stuff in there, and then all the WMBF stuff. Yeah, it's a good magazine. It's a shame that it went out of business. So I go to this photo shoot to finish my story. All winners there, and me. I'm like, why am I here? Everybody thought, well, where's the guy that won your class? I said, I don't know. He's not. I was invited. He wasn't. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, I didn't compete for 10 years after that show. But now I'm stuck. I can't stop.
And when did you, so to transition topics a little bit, when did you get involved with the ANBF? Did you found the ANBF?
Yeah, well, this is what happened. I was a promoter. I was promoting shows for the USBF, the old USBF.
Pre Jack Halverson.
Yeah, the original one.
Who ran it before Jack did?
Brian Washington.
Okay.
And he had a nice organization. He had his big show. It was originally the Baltimore Pro. He would get a bunch of good pro. That was back. There still wasn't a lot of organizations out there, so all the pros would compete everywhere. Like we were just up in Scranton last weekend, and Vince Cardamone, who's our promoter up there, he used to promote a show for the USBF years ago, and it was a good show. He'd have a good turnout, all the pros, but there was always like a circuit. All the same pros would go from one show to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. That doesn't happen anymore. But
I was gonna say that I see that more. I see that pretty frequently nowadays.
Yeah,
people going from Mr. America to York Cup to Mr. America to IPE Worlds, and
but you'd get a bunch like the same. It'd be the same guys. They would show up. You'd have 12, 15 guys, bodybuilders, and they would go. You going to the show? Yeah, everybody's going. Everybody do the same thing, and they try to, and the same winner wasn't always the same winner, and they were only like a couple weeks apart. So it all depends on who was looking good that day. But so it was fun because you knew everybody. But they had the big show, the Baltimore Pro. Then they moved it to York, so it was a York Pro. And he just so one year I doing the shows and promoting my USBF shows here in New Jersey, 2 a year. Good.
You were promoting with USBF.
Yeah,
at that time. Okay.
So then there was one show that I did, and I wasn't comfortable with it. It was the drug testing was shady. there was no lights in the pump up area because it was a school and the timer was off. There was no heat. Everything was bad about it. The guy who had a vendor table in the lobby, won one of the class. It just was strange. Everything about it was bad, and nobody didn't do any drug tests. So I reached out to Brian Washington and I said, hey, look, I said, I'm a little concerned. I said, I said, he had said that we have more members in New Jersey than anywhere else. I said, look, I'm concerned. I said, the integrity of the USBF, I don't know what's going on. He says the show was shambles and there was no representative of the USBF there. And I said, and I think a lot of people are upset with what happened, and there was nobody that was even paying attention. I said, I think that you need a quality control officer, somebody that these promoters can reach out to and make sure that they have everything done right. Like
some standardization.
Yeah, the promoters just can't be left to be by themselves and do stuff. They should have checklists that they have to follow. And if not, you take away their show. And I was basically denied. So I was like, all right. So a couple months later, I actually spoke. Mark Lobliner, we became friends because he was helping me promote. Well, it's giving me product like he does a lot of people for our show, USBF shows. I reached out to him and I asked him, and he says, well, that's crazy. There's enough organizations right now, because by then there was more. You had, WMBF was around, NGA, OCB, and then USBF. And then but then he calls me back the next day. He says, because I told him my reasons why. He says, all right, let's do it. So then we started. It was 2012, 2013. So yeah, this is our 11th year. So yeah, first year we had 6 shows, and we had 9 shows and 16 shows. One year we had 25 shows. So we're kind of like around the 20 mark. And then this year, I think we have 16 shows. And then, so 2013 we started it. But so I'm the founder. I've gone through a bunch of people, gone through a bunch of people that helped me out. What I've noticed though is like, when it's not fun anymore, they want to be involved in fun stuff. When it becomes work,
Yeah,
they start to drift away, and and they start, they wonder like, why am I doing this kind of thing? But yeah, I mean, I love it. I love being able to travel around the country, put on shows. Some shows are big, some shows are small, but I still, no matter what, even if it's a show with 15 people, we still go out there. We live stream the shows. We still, give out our good goodie bags. We give out, we bring the shirts with us. We try to
get the famous selfie with all the competitors.
Yeah, got to do that. You have to do that. And people laugh because they don't know how I do it. Because it's a fake selfie. I'm like, my photographer's taking it, and I'm just pretending that I'm taking it.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's I would have guessed you had a selfie sticker. Like,
don't tell anybody, Dan.
Well, this is public knowledge now. It's too late, Ken.
But I like, it's just, I like it. It's a lot of work, but it makes sense. I mean, it's my whole life is really wrapped around my competing. So it's just, eventually I won't be competing anymore, but it'll still give me something to do. And, we got a lot, actually, the AMBF's got a lot of things in the works going on. So next year we should be having a lot of new stuff happening. So I'm excited about that.
What kind of new stuff you got?
Well, that's not public knowledge that I can't tell.
Can't give a Natty News Daily exclusive?
I do have an exclusive, but not on that. I can't tell you that.
Very cool. But whenever you do announce that stuff, let us know and we'll share it. So
yes, that'll be awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, looking forward to this year for you. So you've already done the Florida Pro. What else do you have on tap for the season then?
All right.
Transitioning into
I was trying to here's the exclusive. I was trying to figure out, because my next show was not going to be till the Yorton Cup, which is September 22nd, which was 16 weeks from the Florida Pro. To me, that's too long to wait. Last year, I had to earn my pro card, which was 3 weeks after the Florida Pro. So 3 weeks, and the Yorton Cup was also 2 weeks earlier last year. So I only had 2 months to wait, which was fine. I can handle that. But 16 weeks is a long time. So I'm going back to my original dream. I've always said if I ever have a chance to earn my IFBB Pro card, it will be when I turn 60. Because the big guys get sloppy and the lighter guys have better shots because they're tighter. And now they give out 2 pro cards for the 60 plus class at the North Americans. So I'm going for one of them. I've won my 40 plus class at the Masters Nationals and the North American. I've won the 50 plus class at the Masters Nationals. Now I want to win the 60 a class in the 60. So I have two goals. I have to win my 60 plus so I can have the 40, 50, and 60. And then my true goal is to get my IFBB Pro card so I can hang it on my wall and say I finally did it. Because as a kid, remember, there wasn't a lot of stuff out there, and your dream was always to be an IFBB Pro. So I know there's going to be the natural purists that are going to say, well, why?
Yeah, you're going to get, there's going to be mixed reactions to this podcast here, Ken.
Why are you supporting the NPC? And I will give them my answer. I tell this to everybody. When I show up at a show, I'm a competitor. I'm not the AMBF president. I'm not there. I am there to compete as a competitor. I told Marjorie Strash when I was at the Yorton Cup, when we had our conversation in the stairwell, I asked her to unblock me, which I'm still not. And people were asking me why I was there. And I said, because I'm a competitor. I'm not the AMBF president right now. I'm a competitor. I go where the shows, I go to the best shows. Look at where I went last year. I go to the best shows. I've always gone to the best shows. I said, so the fact that I'm here, you should be happy that I'm here because I only go to the best shows. And right now, the Yorton Cup is second to none as far as natural pro shows. There's no question about it. And this year, it'd be even bigger. So that's why I was there. I guess she accepted my answer, but she still hasn't unblocked me. But now I don't get the emails anymore either. But it's all right. I'll still be there at the Yorton Cup. So it's my money. I'll spend my money where I want to, my $300 entry fee, because it's my goal to get an IFBB Pro card. I mean, obviously, I'm never going to step on the IFBB Pro stage. I mean, that would be somebody's lunch. But it's just, and I've always thought, first of all, I was an NPC competitor first. I was natural all the time, but that's what I competed in. That's all there was really around. But I feel like I can do more for natural bodybuilding by going into these NPC shows and beating guys that have been juicing their whole life. I mean, what better way of promoting natural bodybuilding? Somebody joked with me, and it's almost too good of an idea to really not even consider. Rich Gaspari is my age. So I've known him since he's 18 years old. He's a month and a half older than me. He used to come to my gym. Now he goes to another gym down the street. So it kind of pisses me off. But so somebody said you should challenge Rich Gaspari to a pose down. And I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. What better way to show a person that's 60, that's has used his whole life, and somebody that's natural. If we could do it for charity, you want to pump it up, Dan? Put it all over. Let's pump it up.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We could do it for charity.
I'll make a note to Leroy to clip this part.
I mean, I'll never question his position in bodybuilding because he's one of the best ever.
Yeah.
But it's just, what better way? 60 years old or 60 years old that has used steroids, and 60 years old natural his whole life. It sounds like Mike Tyson and that other guy, whoever, it could be a big. Rich is probably going to be driving to my gym. He's like, "What are you talking about me for?" I say, "Rich, you don't come here anymore. I don't have to be nice to you."
That would be cool. But yeah, I mean, I tend to agree in a lot of respects with to show that natural bodybuilding is legit. Natural bodybuilders are legit. I just see so many comments out there about natural bodybuilding being the minor leagues or the women's sports of bodybuilding, or like I've heard the gambit, and it's just like, man, like I wish people knew what was out there and knew how good these top natural athletes are. So
that's why I was always, when I showed up at these NPC shows, I was always the natural guys here. They all knew me. Everybody knew who I was because, it's just everybody, I'd show
That's
up.
distinctive in that organization. If you're natural, like, you know, and still doing well, it's like people take notice of that. Like I talked with Kendall and, you know, he's gone the IFBB route in classic physique, and a lot of guys giving him backstage, oh, the natural guy, holy heck, that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's crazy, you know? Like,
yeah, and they don't want to believe it. But it's even when I messaged Gary Yuta to ask him like, what did I have to do, to qualify? And I really, you just have to do the Masters part of the North Americans. You just have to do a show, which I hate when people. I'd rather you tell me that I have to come in a certain position, because if not, it feels like it's just a money grab. So it's like, here, pay your money so you can do the North Americans. I'm like, all right, but that's what I have to do. That's what I'll do. But I'm not going to go there just to step on stage. I want to win the open class. I want to win the overall, the open class. So, but yeah, I don't like when the organizations just do this show and then you'll qualify for. I do like what the OCB does with their qualifying for the York. You have to come in the top 5 in a pro class or win your pro card at an amateur show. So at least you have to earn it. But they just want you to do, like, it's not like if I did the open class, then I have to come in the top 2 in an open class. But that's fine too. But just to do the Masters, you just have to step on stage. I can show up a fat slob. And
yes, it's not even like you have to. Qualifying is just showing up, right?
Yeah, you just gotta show up and pay your money. But I don't have that in me just to do that. I want to win. So I don't know how many 60 pluses is going to be in a local NPC show, but I could do the 50 plus, I suppose, or 40.
Do the open. Hell,
well, I am going to do the open for sure. But yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it, because you talk about.
When's the last time you stepped on an NPC stage?
I have 2015 when I won. 2014, I won the Masters Nationals 50 plus class, and then 2015, I won my class, and then 2015, I did the North Americans and the Masters Nationals in 2015. So I won my class there. It's as 50, whatever I was, 2015. I was 51, 52 years old. So, I mean, I'm a fan of bodybuilding. Yeah, I understand that these people, the first time I went, here's a story for you. This is like a slap in the face. The first Masters Nationals I ever went to, I was 40 or 41, 42, something like that. I walk in for the competitors meeting, and I see everybody crying. I'm like, what's going on? And they announced at the competitors meeting that one of the competitors just had a heart attack up in his room and he died.
Oh my God.
That was my first experience at a national level bodybuilding show. But it really is. It's like I'm there like as a fan. I mean, you see people that you've seen in the magazines, they're all walking around. It's like, wow, this is freaking. It was a little overwhelming my first year. I wasn't really prepared mentally for it, but then I knew coming back, I'm like, look, I can't be that way. I can't be like, oh, gaga, look at all these guys. It's 2,000 people they get at these things. They spread it out over 4 days.
Yeah.
So it is something to see. I mean, I don't care for the look of, the pros. Like people ask me, you watch Mr. Olympia, you watch Arnold. I said, no, I don't care what these guys. That's not that's long past bodybuilding. But but yeah, it is something, and it is competitive. I mean, it's all the things you hear about. It's good, it's bad, it's all the stuff that is out there. But
for you just want to compete, right?
Yeah, I just want to compete. That's what I tell people. Let me get on stage and compete. Don't if they have a hard. The thing is, they may have a hard time about me coming. That's another issue. But a lot of the people that have been around back in the day aren't around anymore. All the New Jersey guys that used to judge the national level shows, I mean, they didn't like it when I did the NPC New Jersey, and I almost won the overall at that as a middleweight. I lost to Marlo Ballesteros, who was a monster. That we became good friends after that. But I won my class. I won the Masters. I was second overall. They don't like it. But, I don't know I think they feel they're getting showed up, but it's not. I'm just competing. I don't care that it's my
the
choice.
NPC guys are mad.
Yeah, but
some of them they get mad too.
That's
interesting because it's like
it is.
That's purely an ego thing, because it's like, if somebody can beat me without using anything, and I'm sauced to the gills. Like that's got to be an ego thing for them to get mad.
But it is, but when you're on stage next to those guys, it's like, who doesn't matter, drugs or no drugs. I just want I'm there to beat you. So when I was the last time I was in the overall with Vinny Galante. That's when he got his pro card, and he's from New Jersey. We've been friends ever since then. He was the light heavyweight winner, and I was the welterweight winner. And I said I wanted to beat him. I didn't care. He was, twice the size of me. I wanted to beat him. Doesn't matter. It never mattered to me. I'm just as comfortable competing in the NPC as I am natural shows. It's just, actually, I feel my body is better suited, to be honest, for NPC shows because of my legs and my arms. I carry my weight. I carry my weight well. And I'm actually, in the natural shows, I'm one of the shorter guys. In the NPC, I'm one of the taller guys. Which is kind of weird.
That's interesting.
See, I'm in the natural shows, I'm one of the shorter guys. So the body types, my body type matches up better in the lower weight classes. You start getting into heavyweights, and those guys they're my height, 250. So it's a whole different.
That's a completely different ball game, right?
Yeah. It's when you're on stage and these guys are your height, you're looking them eye to eye, and they're like twice as wide as you. I'm like, what the hell? What is? Let me get out of here. So yeah, it's definitely my body is suited more for NPC because I appear bigger than I am. But
very cool, very cool. What else do you have planned for the rest of the season before we close this one out?
All right, let me look. Here we go. So Florida. So after that, it's the Yorton Cup, which is September 20. Well, we go. So this year they split it up, which was a great idea. Which something that I had mentioned, that it was you weren't able to talk to anybody because you're on stage and you're on and you're off, and you couldn't get a chance to really hang out. Everything was rushed. So Sunday, the 22nd, and then I'm actually judging Dwayne Broadway's show September 28th because I'm on the flyer, so I have to judge it. Then Mr. America.
Which show? Dwayne Broadway's show. What weekend is that? That's
September 28th. The Battle of Broadway. I won that last year to get my WNBF pro card because I won my pro card back in 2006 WNBF, but I turned it down because of all the other stuff that I was doing. So I didn't. Back then, they were exclusive. You couldn't compete outside of the WNBF. So I had to re-win it. I had to win my pro card at the OCB show too. But then I'm doing Mr. America.
I will see you there.
Yeah, well, you better talk to me. I'm going to come up to your table. I'm going to pound on it.
Well, I'm going to be on stage this year, so.
All right, cool.
We'll get a pose down.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I love pose down. We could jump out in the crowd like I did the Florida Pro. And then the week after that, I don't like doing shows back to back, but I'm doing the USBF Pro Master out in Illinois. And then I'm going back to the Monster Mash November 2nd. Then I'm going back and doing Sully's show, Battle of the Gods. Now it's open pro this year, so be competing against young kids. And then I'm doing the WNBF Worlds.
Let's say you're gonna do Worlds this year. That'll be your first Worlds, huh?
Yeah, I've never done it, so that's why I'm doing the
They knocked it out of the park last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to get all the big ones. I wanted to do the Natural Olympia, but I couldn't. I can't. They make it so hard to qualify you. I mean, that's another thing. You just have to do a pro show.
Doesn't the Mr. America qualify you for it? It did.
No, it used
to.
They don't.
They don't anymore. Okay.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Which I was hoping, but yeah, so I think next year I'm gonna do the Natural Olymp. That's the one that'll be the last one that I haven't done, the last big one. But you have to. They only give you certain shows that you can compete in to qualify, unless they. According to the website, but then I saw something yesterday where it says you just have to do a pro show. So, but I can't actually. I can't do it that day this year. My nephew's getting married, so I can't do it anyway. I just found
you'll
that
have
out.
You'll have a busy fall, that's for sure.
Yeah, I got a busy October, September, October, November. Then we have our shows wrapped around.
Let's say in addition to all the NBF shows you guys are putting on.
We don't have most of our shows. We have the September, the Kings American and Masters Nationals in September 14th, But then we only have a couple more shows the rest of the year. Most of the shows are before September. But yeah, it keeps me busy. I mean, if I sit home, I can only cut the grass so many times. I can only put so much mulch down. But yeah, as far as the NPC, it's I feel I can really, because I know people are going to say stuff. First of all, I'm a competitor and I want to go where the competition's at. I want to fulfill my dream of getting my IFBB Pro card. And if people don't understand that, that's just, most people that I've spoken to already are behind it, and they're all because they know that's what I've always wanted. And I've always said that my best shot is when I turn 60. So I'm gonna do it. And if I get it, I'll be happy. If I win my class, then I'll be happy also. But I know getting the pro card is not gonna be easy, but winning my class, that I want to do for sure. I'm not coming home without my class win. So
Get it done.
I'm gonna, no doubt. I'm excited. This year is gonna be, and then we got, like I said, we got some good news, some promising things looking into next year. So yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, it'll be a big year for you. And like I said, whenever you get the secret news can drop, yeah,
I'll reach
give us
out.
a tag and we'll report on it.
So
to close this out, you've been competing. I think I calculated. I think 43 years. What would you say to
six decades? I started when I was 17, and I'm now 60, so that would be 6 decades, right? 10? Is it? No, maybe it's only 5 decades. No, it's so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Yeah, 6 decades.
1743. I calculated right. 43 years.
Yeah, but it's decades. I like the
decades.
6 decades.
5 decades. It'll be 5 decades.
No,
if it's 40, it'll be 5 decades. You're in decade 5. You're in the 5th decade. Yeah.
All right. So wait, so 17, 10? No, it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60.
Oh, well, I mean, you're competing in your 60th year, but you were competing at 7.
17.
You were competing at 17. Yeah.
All right. Well, I like 6 better.
You'll get 6. I'm confident you're gonna get. No, you're gonna get 6.
I'm not gonna be a carnival act. I'm not. When I'm 7, I told my wife. She says, "How long you been doing this?" I said, "Until it's not fun anymore. Until I suck. I'm not doing this at 70 though. No way.
Yeah.
I'll be on a dock fishing somewhere. I don't know.
You get to 67. 67. That would get into your 6 decades.
No, I've been competing in 6 decades. That's true.
In 6 decades?
Yeah. 17. 17 is
5.
1. No, 17. That's 1 decade, right?
17, 27, 37, 47, 57.
No, you gotta count from 10 to 20 as a decade.
Oh, in 10 to 20. Oh, within the yeah.
6 decades. See? In 6 decades.
Yeah.
Not before 6 decades. In 6. Well, is it 4 6?
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Depends how you want to calculate.
It's still a long time. Yes.
Anyways, what advice would you give to someone coming up in the game? Just in general. I mean, you've seen a lot. You've competed in a million different organizations and shows, and a lot of the top shows. You've seen a lot. You've seen the gambit.
What I like to tell people is that the sport is way too hard to not take it seriously if you want to succeed. You have to work. Unless you're a super genetic freak, it's not going to come easy. And don't get all involved in the politics of the sport. You got to compete. Like last year, I competed in, I don't know, 4 different organizations. I mean, that's what. Try them all out. Don't listen to your coaches and only go to certain organizational shows. Be your own person, and you can't let the sport run your life, because if you do, it's going to ruin your life. It's a hard sport. It's not for everybody. So you can't, but it is. You can't you can't let it run your life, and it's too hard to not take serious. Can't half. If you want to be successful, you can't half-ass it.
I think that's a great message and a great way to close things out. So where can people find you? Where can people find about you, info about you, ANBF? Plug whatever you want.
Well, I'm all over Instagram. My name, Kent Bierly. My gym is Pure Focus Sports Club. If you're ever out here, we're on Instagram too. It's just Pure Focus. It's the only real gym around where we specialize in regular fitness, but also.
Where are you at exactly?
Brick, New Jersey, the Jersey
Brick,
Shore.
New Jersey.
It's like 3 miles from the beach. Also ANBFnatural.com is our website for the ANBF. We also have Instagram and Facebook pages. If you want to email me, it's krb46comcast.net. Or if you just want to message me, I'll get right back to you. Don't call me. I'll never answer my phone when I'm during the day. But I can message you right back. So there's a million different ways of getting in touch with me. If you're in the area, you want to come try out, check out the only real gym around. It says it on outside. You can't miss it. Be glad to have you. And yeah, I'm very easy to find. Just Google me. You'll find all my stuff.
Very good, Ken. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's good to finally get to actually talk.
Yeah.
Like I said, we I think seen each other in passing quite a bit, but never really gotten maybe said hi, but that's that maybe the extent of it. So good to talk long form. And
you can tell I could talk all night, so it's enjoyable. Anytime you need to fill some dead air, just let me know.
I love talking bodybuilding, so very cool. I look forward to seeing you at Mr. America.
Yeah.
And like I said, thanks for coming on. And if you like this episode, give Ken a follow. Check out what he's doing with the ANBF, and we'll see you in the next episode.